my lips.
What's the matter? They broken?
You're supposed to pat your lips, not wipe them.
The 1970s served up sitcoms that filled living rooms with laughter for a little while. Some faded quietly, leaving behind cliffhangers, untied storylines, and memories of what might have been. Here are 10 vanished 70s sitcoms, counted down in order. Number 1. When Things Were Rotten. Let's go back to the wild and unpredictable world of 1975 television, where Mel Brooks unleashed When Things Were Rotten onto ABC. This slapstick sitcom was a raucous send-up of the Robin Hood legend, with irreverent jokes flying nearly faster than the arrows in Sherwood Forest.
I'm a lily-livered what? My uncle is a who?
Each episode delivered a barrage of puns, winks, and pratfalls, featuring Dick Gautier as a wildly untraditional Robin and a merry band more foolish than fearsome. Brooks, already known for Blazing Saddles, injected that uniquely anarchic humor, and for those in on the joke, it felt like late-night mischief that somehow spilled into prime time. The show shot onto screens in September 1975, but its madcap style and offbeat rhythms were a bit much for mainstream audiences. ABC canceled it after only 13 episodes, leaving a swirl of fans hungry for its cult energy. Despite its brief run, traces of its influence can be found in later Brooks comedies and even inspired homages like Robin Hood, Men in Tights. Today, When Things Were Rotten remains a hidden gem, one you recall in flashes, maybe while flipping past networks that no longer take such chances. Sometimes the boldest laughs burn briefest, outshined in the moment but unforgettable in retrospect. And with every echo of a Mel Brooks punchline, you remember that mad, merry chaos of 1975, when TV dared to be just a little weird. Number 2. Makin' It. Few sitcoms scream late 70s like Makin' It. Picture shag carpets, mirrored balls, and polyester suits. ABC's 1979 answer to Saturday Night Fever. The show followed Billy Minucci, played by David Naughton, a New Jersey teen who dreamed of disco stardom while juggling family chaos and neighborhood drama. Hoping to ride the fevered high of John Travolta mania, the creators packed every episode with energetic dance numbers, flashy outfits, and that undeniably catchy theme song. Even the theme, sung by Naughton himself, spent weeks climbing the Billboard Top 40, outlasting the series it promoted. But rave reviews never showed up for the party. Against stiff competition and shifting tastes, the glitz fizzled after just 8 episodes. By spring 1979, the dance floor cleared, leaving behind only fond flashes of Billy's bravado and that earworm of an opening tune. Makin' It was gone before most viewers realized it had started, a victim of disco's burnout and the breakneck pacing of television trends. Still, for those who watched, Makin' It is burned into memory with the scent of sweet cologne, the swirl of bell-bottoms, and the fun of a Friday night when all you wanted to do was stay alive and dance. Some shows become time capsules, and this one shines like a disco ball in the nostalgia vault. Number 3. The Practice. You can almost hear the gruff confidence of Dr. Jules Bedford as he marched down the halls of his Chicago medical office, ready to dispense tough love and medical wisdom in equal measure. When NBC unveiled The Practice in 1976, viewers expected Danny Thomas to conjure the same warm magic he brought to Make Room for Daddy. This time, however, he wore the white coat of a no-nonsense doctor, blending cantankerous comedy with heartfelt moments. At least, that was the plan. Running for just 2 short seasons through 1977, The Practice struggled to find its pulse. A revolving door of time slots made it nearly impossible for loyal fans to keep up, while critics called out the show's lackluster scripts that never matched the sharp wit or charm of Thomas's earlier work. The legacy of Dr. Bedford faded as quickly as it arrived, with storylines left open and character arcs unresolved. Still, those who tuned in remember the feeling of settling in after dinner, hoping to catch a glimpse of one of their classic TV favorites embracing a new challenge, even if the odds, and the ratings, just weren't in his corner. The echoes of The Practice linger as a stubborn memory of what could have been, leading us down television's winding corridor toward the next surprise around the bend. Number 4. Apple's Way. You can almost hear the screen door creak and smell the apple pie cooling by the window. Apple's Way carried that unmistakable small-town flavor. Airing on CBS, this gentle drama comedy arrived in 1974 with high hopes, created by Earl Hamner Jr., the same storyteller behind The Waltons. Instead of a Depression-era mountain homestead, Hamner set his new series in the make-believe town of Appleton, Iowa, where the Apple family sought to escape the grind of Los Angeles and rediscover a quieter, truer way of life. Led by Ronnie Cox as Father George Apple and Frances Foster as Grandma Aldrich, the cast navigated misunderstandings about honesty, neighborliness, and the little moral lessons that once wrapped up just before the closing credits. Yet even with its honest heart, Apple's Way struggled to stand out against more brash urban shows. Ratings wavered, and by the spring of 1975, just 2 modest seasons and 38 episodes later, it quietly left CBS's Sunday night lineup. For fans, the charm never faded. Memories linger of wind-blown porches, earnest talks, and Earl Hamner's hopeful belief that family could always find a way back home. Apple's Way reminds us that sometimes what feels gone was simply made for softer ears and simpler times. Number 5. Karen. Sharp dialogue, quick banter, and single-city dwellers with dreams. Karen promised all the sparkle of Mary Tyler Moore, but on a different street. Debuting on ABC in January 1975, the sitcom starred Karen Valentine, fresh off her Emmy win from Room 222, now front and center as Karen Angelo, an idealistic congressional staffer in Washington, D.C. The show took dead aim at 70s singles navigating office politics, relationships, and the shifting mood of post-Watergate America. But unlike Mary, Rhoda, or Lou Grant, Karen's world never quite caught the nation's heart. With only 13 episodes before cancellation, Karen ended almost as quickly as it began. Its topical take on government gridlock and young women's independence proved a tricky fit for viewers seeking escape. The cast, including Denver Pyle and Charles Lane, brought energy but couldn't find that sitcom magic. Still, glimpses of mid-70s fashions, rotary phones, and on-the-nose jokes about bureaucracy left an impression with those who tuned in. For Karen Valentine, this was a shot at stardom that slipped through her fingers, but loyal fans still remember her warmth and humor. Today, Karen endures as a curio, a sitcom snapshot of an era craving progress, even if it arrived one laugh track too early. Sometimes the best trails are laid by the shows that never stick around. Let's pause for a second. Did you watch any of these short-lived sitcoms as they aired, or catch reruns years later? Share your favorite forgotten 1970s show or a childhood TV memory in the comments below. Number 6. Turnabout. A husband wakes up in his wife's body while she blinks in his, and the rest of the world simply carries on. That's the heart of Turnabout, NBC's short-lived 1979 sitcom starring John Schuck and Sharon Gless. Adapted from the 1931 novel by Thorne Smith, the show leaned into its topsy-turvy premise, sparking all sorts of slapstick moments and marital confusion. John and Sharon played Sam and Penny Alston, grappling with each other's careers and social circles while trying to keep the switch secret. Week after week, viewers tuned in to watch the Alstons struggle with everything from work presentations to cocktail parties, each tangled in the other's world. Despite its clever setup and occasionally sharp writing, Turnabout never found its groove in the ratings. Airing in the competitive primetime slots of 1979, the show was overshadowed by giants like Three's Company and Taxi. After just 7 episodes, NBC pulled the plug, leaving fans with a cliffhanger. Would the Alstons ever return to their own bodies? Turnabout's early exit marked it as one of those rare shows you might remember catching once, its promise lingering like a half-finished joke. Rare reruns and grainy promotional photos are all that remain. But for a certain slice of viewers, that brief, body-swapped chaos was unforgettable, a reminder of risks networks sometimes took, and the oddball magic that can happen when life, with a little network TV magic, turns totally upside down. Number 7. Holmes and Yo-Yo. Try picturing a police station where your new partner might beep, whir, or short-circuit at any moment. In 1976, ABC brought viewers Holmes and Yo-Yo, a buddy cop comedy unlike anything else on the dial. Detective Holmes was gruff, by the book, and, importantly, 100% human. But his quirky new sidekick, Yo-Yo, was an android who did everything from scanning crime scenes to quizzically malfunctioning in the middle of stakeouts. The show played it straight, yet everything was offbeat enough that viewers were always left wondering, was this parody or just a peculiar miscalculation? The concept was bold but baffling for most families tuning in after dinner. Critics scratched their heads, and only 13 colorful episodes aired before the plug was pulled. Still, Holmes and Yo-Yo left an odd digital fingerprint. Years later, its off-kilter premise attracted devoted cult fans, spinning tales online and swapping favorite robot goofs. While the canned laughter may be silent now, the memory of Holmes anxiously eyeing his unpredictable android remains. The show is a time capsule, awkward, ambitious, and distinctly 1970s, reminding us of a moment when TV dared to plug in something weird and just see what would happen. Sometimes what disappears the fastest etches itself deepest into pop culture memory. Number 8. Faye. You can practically hear the clack of high heels on apartment linoleum and the faint hum of a television set when Faye comes to mind. The sitcom debuted in the fall of 1975 on NBC, starring Lee Grant as Faye Stewart, a vibrant, newly divorced woman finding her footing in a world that expected her to have all the answers. With a sharp script and Grant's Emmy-winning performance, Faye promised something rare for its era, a comedic exploration of adulthood after marriage, complete with awkward dating, career reinvention, and family curveballs. Despite its forward-thinking premise, Faye never found its audience, struggling week after week in the ratings. Viewers who tuned in were treated to refreshingly candid moments. Who could forget Faye's frank conversations with her grown daughter or the sight of her ex-husband's tie-over breakfasts? Yet in March 1976, just months after its debut, NBC abruptly pulled the plug, leaving storylines abruptly unresolved. Many fans still remember the sting of that cliffhanger, with Faye's journey toward independence left unfinished on screen. Grant, recognized with an Emmy for her portrayal in 1976, lent the character a warmth and wit that made those short-lived episodes unforgettable. But while the show faded after just a single season, Faye lingers as an emblem of how short-lived brilliance can outshine decades. There's a memory in that laughter, the kind you couldn't help but hope would echo into next week, but instead left you wondering what might have been. Number 9. On the Rocks. There's a distinctly jangly echo to the theme song of On the Rocks, carrying you into a show that dared to twist the sitcom formula. Imagine inmates in Alameda minimum security prison running their daily lives, more like cubicle workers than hardened criminals. Airing in the fall of 1975 on ABC, On the Rocks was America's answer to the British smash hit Porridge, translating dry wit and bureaucracy behind bars for a new audience. Over a single season, viewers met characters like Hector Fuentes and Lester DeMott, trying to pass the time with harmless schemes and oddball camaraderie. But despite a clever premise and topical humor, the show never caught on with American crowds. Maybe it was the struggle to find relatable heroes in orange polyester jumpsuits, or maybe the cultural translation missed the marks that made its predecessor beloved across the Atlantic. By spring 1976, ABC had quietly pulled the plug, leaving a gap where this quirky workplace-style prison comedy once was. For those few who tuned in, On the Rocks remains a curio, a flash of daring novelty that promised more but slipped away. The tinny buzz of the prison intercom, the clatter of dominoes in the mess hall, it all drifts away now, replaced by the question: what other bold, short-lived gems are still waiting to be rediscovered? Number 10. The Brian Keith Show. Salty breezes and gentle strums of ukulele filled the airwaves each week when The Brian Keith Show swept onto NBC screens in 1972. Set on the sparkling shores of Hawaii, this sitcom delivered a dose of humor and heart right from the waiting room of Dr. Sean Jameson, a compassionate pediatrician portrayed by Brian Keith himself. Unlike the breakneck pace of big city hospital dramas, here the problems were solved with patience, warmth, and a laugh or two, often with a spectacular ocean view. The cast, including Shelley Fabares and Victoria Young, made the pediatric clinic feel like a neighborhood staple where everyone just happened to wear Aloha shirts. But beneath the sun-soaked vibe, storm clouds gathered. Budget woes and lackluster ratings plagued the gentle comedy, making it hard to compete with brasher fare on rival networks. By 1974, after just 2 seasons, NBC quietly moved on, shelving this tropical outpost and scattering its memories like sand in the surf. Today, The Brian Keith Show lingers in the corners of your nostalgia, a sunny blip on television's timeline, proof that not all healing in sitcoms comes from big laughs or high-stakes antics. Just imagine the faint scent of plumeria and the soft clang of office bells. Then let Hawaii's comic warmth fade to a memory as we step into the next chapter.